At this point, the art style for no reason radically shifts. Up until now, it's been mostly what seems like photos run through a filter. Maybe some painted work that resembles real people, but that's it. Now though, completely different style. And when we see Douglas, he's suddenly got a different body shape and isn't wearing his jacket anymore. Oh, and everything's on fire now. I have no idea why this is happening. Whatever. Whatley exposits that all of the residents of the town have gone nuts, killing one another without reason, or just for fun, or just because it satisfies their appetites. This is a special night, you see. An opportunity has arisen not only for you, but also for your world. Such opportunities are rare in your human history. This is gonna turn into a timeshare presentation, isn't it? There's an image of what I think is supposed to be a woman being sacrificed to a volcano, and I only think that's what's going on because of the dialogue mentioning an act of sacrifice. Is that why you killed Sheriff Canavan? Was he a sacrifice? Dude, he was just aiming a gun at him and talked about how the last cop who tried to stop him got killed. Are you even paying attention? Also, here's a random woman dead on the ground with tentacles coming out of her. Why does it feel like I just turned over 2 pages at once despite this thing not having any pages? He was a light snack. His heart was in excellent condition. And it was tasty. Dude, there was a box of donuts right there you could have eaten out of! Honestly, Douglas, I understand that you are beside yourself with concern for the welfare of your beloved Rosie, but I'm beginning to worry that perhaps you're not the right man for the job after all. What job? Douglas, you are not asking the right questions. So when you said you were gonna explain everything, that just meant do the exact same bullcrap you've been doing all along. Why am I not surprised? Whatley says that all of this day was there explicitly to reorient Douglas's view of the world, expose him to a greater understanding of reality than he had before, opening doors to worlds that he had never known existed, but he's pissed that Douglas's only concern is for Rosie. Look high. Look all about you. The flames that rise in the night sky come from the cleansing fire that has just begun to consume this town and may spread to your entire world. So we are yet again with the plan to take over and destroy the world with Silent Hill, which was basically the plot of Dead Alive, but at least this one just seems like some kind of weird demonic ritual, whereas that one was celebrity kills someone, world destroyed somehow. To be perfectly honest, I was actually kind of into this thing up until this moment, not knowing what was or wasn't reality, a murder investigation that spirals into something bigger and darker, a growing insanity in everything. And now it's just, but I'm evil, and I thought you'd be totally interested in all the evil I'd be doing. It's kind of amazing how quickly it was able to shoot itself in the foot. Bravo, Hunger! I was actually ready to praise you, and you just ended up being more garbage that has nothing actually to do with Silent Hill. And I think that's what really pisses me off about this. Being put on the Silent Hill experience as if any of this bullcrap is part of that experience. As if any of this relates to the game other than name-dropping some stuff from them. I was gonna joke that it's as if they just read the Wikipedia page on Silent Hill and started referencing stuff for lip service. But I got into this franchise because of reading the Wikipedia page on it, and I understand the series better than this crap. The sheriff's death was supposed to have served a purpose. It was meant to communicate to you visually, the way you monkeys best learn, that nothing your kind has to offer or might devise can possibly protect you. You have a chance at a story that is far more than the story of the century. It is the story of all eternity, a story that will have a happy ending for only a chosen few. You can be one of those few. Privileged, satiating any and every hunger, so long as you fulfill your role in things.
What sort of meaningless double talk is this?
Why are you offering him this chance? To write this story? What does it matter? You're gonna kill everybody or turn them into monsters or whatever. What's so special about him? He's just some asshole writer. You can find one of those anywhere. Or hell, are none of your demons capable of writing? I mean, just get that living doll to do it. It can write pretty legibly. He thinks humans are so inferior, and I guess he's not human, except he was supposed to be a member of the Order, the very human cult of Silent Hill, but wants to elevate some schmuck who writes sensationalist newspaper flotsam to be one of the inner circle or whatever? Anyway, Whatley just teleports away when Doug aims the sheriff's gun at him. Nothing you humans can do can hurt us, but I'm gonna run away from your gun anyway. He decides to go hunting for Rosie himself despite his overwhelming desire to learn more. He runs across various citizens of the town who have gone murderous, like a group of dead-eyed children. Also, some flying demons in the sky that spot him and decide to dive bomb him. However, Mario shows up right behind him. Hey asshole, remember me? You missed your last deadline! I said I wanted pictures of Spider-Man, and damn it, I'm gonna get 'em! The flying demons instead head to Mario before he can attack Doug, though the artwork here implies that the demons are the size of a plate instead of the giant things from before. And if that's not supposed to be the demon, then what the hell is that dark space? See ya, Mario. I hope you didn't really feel anything. You were a good egg. Doot 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 doot. He goes to the local barber shop, whose owner he compares to Milton Berle, or Uncle Milty. Very few people alive today probably have any idea who Uncle Milty was, unless they collect old TV shows like I used to. Hell, it's what drew me to Silent Hill. I'm learning so much about Silent Hill in this book. Annual flower festivals, old TV show collections. He finds the barber tied up and being menaced by what he calls maggot heads, using the gun to kill them and free him. Unfortunately, while Doug thinks he's in his right mind, the barber slashes at him with a razor. When he threatens to not only kill Doug, but Rosie too, Doug shoots him. Realizing how insane and dangerous everything is if the sweet old man has been turned, Doug decides to not try to help people and just focus on finding Rosie. He catches glances of her, but each time she's enveloped by fog until he reaches the library. He seems to find her, but she has no memory of him, instead acting like a librarian with a file on the doctor from earlier, that he was looking for fertile women for some reason. The two look out the window at the burning city. Just look at the pretty lights. It's brown! Every color in this comic is brown! Well, I take that clip of another Silent Hill review back. This one actually does know that other colors exist. Instead, it's more like,
Boom! Like happy festival fireworks, yeah?
Realizing that it's not really Rosie, he demands to know who she is. And suddenly he turns into Christopher Eccleston? Hell, Rosie even kind of looks like Billy Piper. Oh, Rosie, what did they do to you? Wait, Rosie? Was that deliberate homage? Just why? Why the random Doctor Who reference? I mean, that's like finding out that something in Silent Hill 2 was a reference to friggin' Con Air and... Wait, what? Anyway, she suddenly recognizes Doug. Doug, I remember now. We're getting married, aren't we? And she starts transforming, growing wings out of her back as her legs become tentacles. Holy crap, Mothra was behind this whole thing! You're not my Rosie, you're not her, just another of Whatley's lies! That's another thing that's so annoying. This sequence, it's very Silent Hill. The fake out that turns into a boss monster kind of thing. But it's not even Silent Hill that's doing this. It's Whatley. They've taken the terrifying, unknowable force and made it be about some jackass who bleached his hair. And I know, there's some apocalyptic stuff in the other games related to the Order too, but there's something so impersonal about this. Harry Mason was connected to the events of the first game through Cheryl and used as a pawn by Dahlia. Heather was Cheryl, so of course she drives plot events related to the Order in the third game. Henry Townsend was occupying the apartment that Walter Sullivan thought was his mother, which is probably a very confusing statement for those not familiar with this franchise. But trust me, it is even for those of us who are familiar with it. And Alex and his family were tied in directly to the events related to the cult in Homecoming. Doug is just some dude that Whatley has arbitrarily chosen to be his witness. The villains having their own agendas in those games made sense, and were clearly the signs of very evil or damaged individuals. And even the evil ones thought they were morally correct for religious reasons. Whatley is all, mwahaha, darkness and monsters and the end of your puny human world. It's so unworthy of this series. Anyway, the monster knocks Douglas back and he lands right next to a book. written by him. The Book of Samael, A History of Silent Hill. Samael may or may not be the god mentioned in the first game that the Order worships. The official name for it is either God or Incubus, but Samael is mentioned in a few places. Downpour even seems to name it that, but the comics version definitely seems to be different. I reread the ending of Dead Alive, where I think Samael is summoned and possesses a character's body, and it continues the whole hunger thing, but I would have especially not known that connection back when I did the original review. So yeah, thanks for including backstory and information for your big bad in a format that not many people would have access to. Or hell, I don't know. So far, there's nothing in here that really counts as that much backstory for Dead Alive, so maybe it didn't really matter at all. Doug makes his way to the hospital, desperate to figure out the truth of all this so he can understand what happened to Rosie. Patients in wheelchairs lined the corridors, their eyes surgically removed. They wheel around aimlessly. I had a vision of wheelchairs doing the same thing, all by themselves. I had visions of them attacking a really boring guy normally trapped in his apartment. Doug enters the doctor's office and finds removed eyes all staring at him. I didn't need a degree in psychology to understand what he hungered for. Attention. A desire to have all eyes on him. Boy, is he gonna have egg on his face when it turns out his hunger was for playing Magic the Gathering. The doctor says there need to be witnesses to the wonders about to occur to her, and Doug demands to know if he's talking about Rosie. He can't remember the name of the person, and soon flesh begins to form around all the disembodied eyes, growing new bodies for them. It's revealed that they needed the fertile women who could give birth to Samael and his brethren. The doctor is now pretty sure Rosie wasn't among the names, and Whatley teleports Doug away. Douglas, what you see around you is a reality shaped by the efforts and will of a few like myself. A new reality. At this point, I would love a new reality because, frankly, it's gotta be better than this one. He says that Doug needs to write a book. I thought he already wrote it. It was in the library. He's the chosen chronicler, and that he has to accept that. And why do they need that? Who the hell's gonna read it? All the desires, the ravenous hungers long denied of everyone in this place have been awakened by events we will show you. And you should be able to write about this from what you people call the personal angle. I mean, no one's gonna enjoy our evil demonic book chronicling the end of your civilization if it doesn't have a personal touch. How else are we gonna make it to the New York Times bestseller list? He says that Rosie is indeed dead, the victim in the house, and that he could have escaped with her at the beginning if he had wanted to, but his hunger for a story was too great. But here's the shocking part, people. Finally, we get proper exposition from Whatley. Yeah, seriously, I'm just as surprised as you are. But you want the real story. Here it is. Mortals from your realm have long suspected the existence of other realities. Heaven, hell, tales of other worlds. Our whispers, which cross the boundaries of all realities, have been heard by you apes. And it is from those whispers that your myths are born. Capo's flying vagina legend? That was us. Why would we wish to come here? There are so many reasons. It is a new field to conquer. It extends our power, our greatness, and we have hungers as well. We seek what you call Taco Bell. The bestial figure you just looked upon is one of our emissaries, called Samael, a god, in your terms, who is hungry for life in your reality, an entity who will be appeased only by blood, suffering, and shows of fealty. It is he that humans are even now attempting to bring to this place, Silent Hill. And it is he who will open the way so that a multitude of his brethren may follow. To use your parlance, this planet is a rockin' party, and he is going to sneak them in. The woman the doctor found is fighting their attempts to give birth to Samael, and Whatley admits that the outcome isn't certain. It's entirely possible she'll succeed and prevent Samael from being born. But this place is changed eternally. A battle may be won or lost this night, but the war is far from over. This is Samael's sigil, his brand. All those who are here now, All who are to come want to tell their stories. There must be a chronicler. You have been chosen to fulfill that role, to write the Book of Samael, to tell the story of this night when an ordinary town became touched by a god, and all that will surely follow. So basically, this comic has been a prequel to the entire franchise. That the reason Silent Hill got so messed up was because some other dimensional forces were trying to birth Samael, and based on the rest of what we see in the comics and games, failed, but forever altered its nature. I'm kind of mixed about this. On the one hand, that's not necessarily a bad backstory. I know I've been complaining about this the whole way through, but honestly, I can see what Scott Cienson was going for with this, and it does kind of recontextualize all the other Silent Hill comics he made. It finally gives an answer on who Whatley is and the overarching goals he had and how it can tie into the games. That the Order is doing their own thing, but the evil that's transformed Silent Hill is a result of the actions in this comic. On the other hand, though, the other comics are still terrible, and again rely upon this obscure motion comic coming from the frickin' PlayStation Portable after the ones came out in order to provide context. It's also an answer to a question nobody was asking. In many ways, not knowing what it is that makes Silent Hill the place it is a lot scarier. Again, this powerful, unknowable horror is infinitely more interesting than knowing, oh, it's just some demons trying to invade Earth. And what's more, Whatley is still a terrible character. Nothing remotely unique or interesting about him, and there's no reason why he couldn't lay this all out earlier instead of just Doug running around aimlessly and Whatley going, ooh, I'm trying to make you understand other dimensions, for whatever reason. There's also some minor continuity gaps with it anyway, since the other books said Whatley had been around for generations, and I have a hard time believing that he only now figured out how to pull this off, considering what was actually involved. But whatever. Whatley says Doug has the job whether he wants it or not. He then charges him with his task. He can either stay in Silent Hill and be with Rosie and rewards, whatever the hell that means, or he can go and tell the tale of what happened to the world. Well, if he has the job regardless of what he wants, why are you even giving him a choice? Or rewards? Rosie is dead, but of course death means something different for them here. She's been changed by everything that has transpired. He also says that hunger works both ways. Thus, if he does stay with Rosie, she's ravenous for him. Doug realizes he has to die and be reborn just like her. So he accepts that this is the only way he can be with her again. And so our motion comic finally ends with Rose turning into the weird creature again and biting down on him, proclaiming that she could just eat him up. In the wake of these bizarre events, Silent Hill was plowed over and renamed New Barktown. This comic is a mixed bag, though it mostly sucks. I'll tell you one thing, though. It's the best Scott Cienson Silent Hill story. No, really, this is seriously the most coherent, logical, and well-written of all the Silent Hill comics he made. There is a clear character arc for Doug. There are actual horror moments in this horror comic. And while I hate Whatley, I still don't hate him as much as Christabella. I actually understand the plot and the character motivation, and while it contains questionable lore to the rest of the series, it at least tries to do a better job contributing to the lore of the series than any of the others. The art is equally mixed, done by Steve Perkins and Alex Shibao, and sadly I couldn't figure out which of the two handled which. The first section is not very good, feeling very artificial thanks to what feels like stock photography poorly copied and pasted onto background images, all of it having been heavily filtered. If it was actually drawn, fine, but the art style still feels very disjointed. I will credit the fact that the use of color still works very effectively in terms of mood, while the more obviously drawn latter half just utilizes dark coloring and effectively crafts horrific monsters, but characters feel like they're moving off model at times. In terms of story, like I said before, as a horror story, it's mostly okay. Told coherently, and seeing Doug's slow descent into what seems at first like total madness is very well done. But calling it Silent Hill feels disingenuous until you get to the backstory bits, which take far too long to get to for no good reason. And I still don't understand what makes Doug so special for this task, why this task needs to happen, or why they give him some kind of choice to not act in the capacity they set out for him, especially when Whatley keeps being frustrated by him caring more about Rosie than understanding what's happening. This is not helped by the comic beating you over the head with the hunger theme. It's not consistent with Silent Hill and its effect on characters in the games. It feels like it's shoved in to justify the title when Obsession or Drive could have made the same point and not had so many diversions about people eating or Whatley constantly having to say, "Ooh, you're hungry for information, hungry for a story," and all that bullcrap. It also leaves questions about whose journal that was in the beginning and why it was sent to Doug when there were easier ways of getting his attention interested in the murder and Whatley. Why the hell did Whatley, being the agent and representative of Samael's race, care about watching some doctor have kinky sex with a nurse? In the end, hunger is okay at best, but I sure as hell wouldn't consider it necessary reading, and you can still most especially ignore the other Scott Siensen Silent Hill books. Next time, our trip down memory lane brings us back to The Thing from Another World, in a comic I briefly talked about once already. You were a villain a long time ago, Linksano, but you could have told me this. I know. You tampered with my memories! What else did you do? Nothing. I only removed knowledge of my existence and the fact that we had made a clone together. Except now I can't trust that! I can't trust anything you've ever said to me! I know. I want to believe that, man. I really do. You've changed so much since your early days, but... So wait, what's the deal with the tattered clothes on the clone, then? Honestly, I don't know. Look at the vat. It was broken into from the outside. Someone took the clone. Who would want a clone of me? Well, you've had other enemies besides me. Okay, the guy we're going to summon is a powerful warlock. He's encountered Linkara a few times before. He's not very smart, but he is the mastermind behind a lot of weird crap, including the magic gun.
So what makes you think he's involved?
I'm grasping at straws here. Maybe I'm not a traditional clone. Maybe I'm like a magical duplicate that was whipped up by a sorcerer or whatever. And considering this guy's hate-on for Linkara, well, that might be the link we're missing here.
So, you wanted me here for this because...
The spell won't last long, and he may try to take advantage of the situation to try to attack. I need someone here as backup.
Seems like Linkara wouldn't approve of this.
He wouldn't, and neither would the others. Another reason why it had to be you. I guess what I'm just trying to prove with this whole exercise is that I'm not Linkara. You ready?
I guess.
Then let's do this.
Yes! Yes! I've been summoned to Earth once again to wreak my vengeance upon... Oh, it's you.
No, I'm not Linkara.
I know that.
You do?
Of course, I know you from the... Oh, You don't remember. I can see it in your eyes.
What do you see?
The truth. You don't know it, but your soul does. I can see it. It's screaming right now.
What truth?
Oh no. It's far too entertaining to reveal it to you. You failed before, and you appear to have only continued to fail.
Did you create me? Was I some messed up experiment like the girl in the magic gun?
Hardly! That would have been a perfect weapon if it had not been for its betrayal. No, you are not the Order's creation.
But you know who made me, don't you?
Of course.
Who did it? Who created a clone of Linkara?
Clone? What clone? You were not his clone.